All right, we are back and wrapped up our first series of podcast on who's really the boss, and that topic was so you want to hire your spouse. So Rachel and I wanted to leave the listeners with a little bit more of our story and something that a couple instances that we saw where we could improve. Definitely take our advice and learn from our mistakes, and hopefully in your business or your relationship you can improve as well. So Rachel, today we just wanted to talk about a couple of big themes, expectations and also boundaries, since those seem to kind of bubble up as the overarching theme of everything in our life. And whenever we talk about expectations, your journey, your path to Dillon CPAs and joining the team, you taught for 9 years, didn't quite make it a decade, but you were there, you were pretty close. But you went out on top, you were Teacher of the Year, and we needed somebody at the office. And you filled so many check boxes for that role. And expectations, we did not talk through that at that time. And if you want to give a little bit of background on, because we did not talk through those expectations and what your role would look like in Dillon CPAs, especially like the first introduction to your role in Dillon CPAs, and just leave people better off. So what did that look like when you came to the team?
Yeah, so when I started with Dillon CPAs, I had just finished up a year of teaching, meaning I should have been starting summer vacation, and instead was able to start my new career sitting on the floor in an empty office with the only phone that was still attached to the wall, so the only company phone at that time, and started making collection calls as my very first assigned duty. Wrapped up making some collection calls by helping load boxes as we were moving offices. So definitely an eventful first couple of days. I feel like I was maybe thrown to the wolves immediately, and that maybe should have been, a little bit of a foreshadowing as to what would come later on.
So really the first probably disappointment was that you gave up your summer and gave that to the business. And then the second disappointment was having to call people who never are looking for that call to be pleasant and saying, hey, you owe us money. Here's what you should do. You should pay us. And it was probably not communicated that that's what you would be doing on your first day during a move, all the while where we were moving from our inherited location to the first office building that we moved into. So that was probably not communicated very well on my part, and I apologize formally for that.
Well, so. Thank you for that. I accept your apology. And when I came into the role, what my expectation for myself was that I would do whatever was asked of me, and that was really how I came into it. Like, whatever needs to be done that I can do, that's what I'll do. I think I have been given some things to do that I don't know that I can really do or didn't believe that I could do. So I've definitely been given a lot of opportunities to grow and to learn in this role for sure. But we definitely didn't have really any expectations. I don't know that was your expectation of me. It might have been just whatever you couldn't do, then I needed to pick up and do. And but yeah, that would have been a great thing to communicate ahead of time. Had I known I was going to be making collection calls with people answering on the other end that would say, who are you? Why are you calling me for money? That maybe I wouldn't have made the transition. So,
and just to be clear,
I don't know. I think definitely it's needed and it's a better path forward. However, maybe I wouldn't have made the decision to jump ship from teaching to Dillon CPAs quite so easily.
So just to be clear, before that day, your first day on the team, had you ever made a collection call before?
Never.
Okay. Was there
Never.
a script that we were following or anything?
No script.
Okay. So it was just, and so you started early June, so it would have been the clients that we did a tax return most likely for in March or April, and we had still not received payment, and you were calling them to say, you must have forgot to pay us, is pretty much. We'll take a credit card, we'll take ACH or a check, cash, whatever. And so that was your first introduction to clients probably as well. So that wasn't well thought out either.
I think the script was, you may have missed an invoice from us, and we don't want you to accrue any late fees or extra charges. So if you would like to, make a payment over the phone, I'd be happy to take that. Or if you want to let me know what date you'll be bringing a payment in, I'd be happy to help you with that.
Yeah, there's such a better way now. And, even from a collection standpoint, how you get paid, there's a better way that we've realized. So with that, just not correctly setting expectations, probably not communicating that with what your role would look like even day one. And how did we get better from that first?
So we talked through a little bit about what I think we got better, not necessarily setting expectations real soon after that. I got very vocal about communicating the parts that I did not enjoy doing. And is there a different way to get paid without me being the one to call and harass these people, which is what they made me feel like I was doing. Mind you, they owed us money for months prior to me actually calling them. So, yeah.
Okay. So, and that was just improving, the business model, probably improving the client base, and then improving the way that people do business with us as kind of that last step. And really what your role on the team was kind of continued to be evaluated as well from day one. So that's good. All right. So kind of expectations, we've hit on that first series. Leaving the listeners with another bonus, and something that's come up really big across not only the business but our lives, is just boundaries. So with that, when we talk about boundaries in work and in life, what do you think about?
Really, for me, talking about boundaries is looking at time and how we spend our time, how we choose to use our time. And when I first started working at Dillon CPAs, it was going to be in a part-time capacity. Not a part-time like you'll only work 2 days a week, but a part-time I'll only work certain hours of the day. So I would come in Monday through Friday from 8-ish until 1, 2 in the afternoon. And what we found that happened pretty quickly as I transitioned out of some of the front office role into some tax administrator duties was that those boundaries were being way crossed. So I was working probably more than 40 hours per week, but not in the traditional sense of like get to the office at 8 o'clock and stay till 10 p.m. But it was more, I would still leave at the time to pick the girls up from the school, but then would log back in at home, and we would work together in our home office after the girls went to bed until we just couldn't keep our eyes open anymore. Weekends, holidays, any available time that we weren't taking girls places, we were pretty much working. And so again, that was something where just being aware, this doesn't feel right. Who is raising our children? What are they seeing from us that is most important in our lives? And so when I think about boundaries, that's definitely what priorities do we have? And really what comes first, how you spend your time really reflects what's most important in your life.
Yeah, and time is the one thing that we can't get more of or make more of, so that's a very good metric to keep in mind. And I think backing up to both boundaries and even expectations, a lot what we covered, as the founder, as the business owner, it started out as my dream to own this business and to create this business. And then when you came on board, when other team members come on board, the business owner, the founder, has to realize it's not that other person's dream for this business, to run this business. And part of that is the boundaries in place. So as the business owner or the founder, you probably go into starting the business just knowing that there's going to be little boundary, and that life and business are going to somewhat mold together. But for a spouse, that was probably not communicated appropriately, or any other team member. And definitely those boundaries have helped over the years. And whenever your coming on board was really just, hey, I need help, and do whatever those needs are. And it's protecting my time because you were trying to protect my time so you could see me more in a family setting. And then that grew and, became a monster in itself. And so I think a lot of business owners, a lot of founders, in the initial stages, they say, I need help, I need help, I need help. And that is probably okay in the beginning, but then if you don't set out a path for other team members, especially a team member that's related to you, that's going to get unhealthy really fast.
Yeah, and so we really didn't look at setting any clear expectations from the beginning. We didn't look at setting clear boundaries intentionally. So we talked about, I don't want to work as much. I want to be able to spend more time with the girls. And so talking about more flexibility than being in a classroom. At that point, my priorities were the kids in my classroom. And so my family as well, but definitely felt an obligation to the kids that I was teaching. And so I was really looking for some flexibility. So what really happened was kind of just really an awareness of, this doesn't feel like what we thought when I left teaching, when I started this new job. And so really, I think that what's so important is to not put your head down and ignore something that doesn't seem quite right, and really address it immediately. So through setting new expectations, or readdressing expectations and readdressing boundaries, and how are we sticking to those boundaries that we've set ahead of time. If you ignore it, it will not go away. It will get bigger.
I think the boundaries, how that spills over into other aspects of life with just too much of anything, is probably not good. And I think back to those early days with you coming onto the team and your role as kind of tax administrator. We would work in office, deal with kids, get them where they needed to go, get them to bed. It wasn't really healthy at that point. And then we would continue to work. We would log back in. And I know that a lot of other owners, I know that a lot of other people in businesses do that. They log back in and then they work until they can no longer work any longer. And that's just not healthy. That's not the best product probably going out the door, not the best mind space for especially like professional services, where people are buying your brain, essentially. Like, they want what's in your head to help them. And whenever you're not at your best because of lack of sleep or too much minutia or whatever is going on in life, that's just not healthy. And so I know that as we've grown more mature, that we value sleep more than we ever have. And that's easy to put that boundary up now, and proper rest. And I think we also, that spills over into how we guide our team. And anything else to add there as far as from a rest perspective, and how we probably realized it was not healthy in that aspect?
It just wasn't a pace that could be sustained long term. So, for the two of us who, it was your dream, and then I'm probably next closest to you, in that spilling over into being part of my dream, having the business if it's not sustainable for us who are the most bought in to this idea and to this business, then it's not sustainable for any team member to do either. So really looking at, okay, how can we be most efficient? How can we change what we're doing? Anything that needs to be changed just to make it even a little bit better year over year so that it is sustainable long term. We love our team, and so to burn out any one person is huge. It's a huge loss to our team when we lose one of our team members, and so wanted to make sure that we were doing everything in our power to help them have a more manageable, more sustainable schedule, a healthier balance, if you will, even though balance doesn't necessarily mean everything is equal, right? Your time at work or your efforts at work are not necessarily equal to a time at home, but setting those boundaries and putting them in place so that it feels better how you spend your time.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Hopefully this little bonus clip will make its way into somebody's mind and help them realize where we came from, a little bit more of our story in those early days with you coming onto the team, and what we would have wished we would have known then, which we do know now. And so thanks for sharing a little bit more in that, and I'm excited to keep these conversations going, excited for the next round of discussions.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. See you in a bit.
All right.